This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane. This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Valiant.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Howdy, howdy, it's the Rogue Warrior, Rochelle Rogue, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., alongside the sleep-deprived Scooter Dust.
You know, I gotta say, no, with all due respect to Wales, I think New South Wales is clearly superior.
And it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Rogue Warrior, Rochelle Rogue.
Howdy, howdy, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. How are you? I believe it's daytime where you are.
It's like the sun's just set. I've just gotten home from uni, so I'm like dead.
Well, I'm sure you have some events you're looking forward to now.
Yes, of course. So I've got FWA, so Future Wrestling Australia, this coming Saturday. So when this is being recorded. So what is it? Saturday the 13th. And then I've also got some cool other things coming up. So I've got my Adrenaline Pro Wrestling debut, and also some cool things coming up with DMDU later on in the year. So there's a lot of things to keep your eyes on.
Ooh, exciting. And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Okay, so for Instagram, it's Rochelle Rogue. Twitter, it's Rochelle Rogue PW. You can find me on Facebook under Rochelle Rogue Professional Wrestler. I think that's all the social medias. I may have a few others that I just am not active on. But for merchandise, I have a wrestler merch store. And then I've got 8x10s and stickers that they can, people can contact me about, and I can send them out and stuff like that.
Oh. Now, you work for Deathmatch Down Under and FWA. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
Okay, so we'll start with FWA. So FWA is practically my home territory. It's my home company. I have a lot of love for FWA because, I came out of a really, shitty situation with wrestling. And 5-Star Flash pretty much took me in and has given me opportunity after opportunity, and now I'm the women's champion there, which is exciting. I never thought that would have happened at all in my wrestling career. So that's really cool because it's 3-4 years into my career and I'm a champion at my home company. I think that's pretty neat. And then with Deathmatch Down Under, so I know one of the promoters, Joel Bateman, really well, and he's kind of taken me under his wing as being a mentor-esque type of thing to me, even though we live a state away. But I've been at Deathmatch Down Under since last year, around April, May. I was in their first ever heavyweight tournament. I got knocked out in the first round by Richie Taylor, but that was an experience. It was an experience of a lifetime. I absolutely loved wrestling Richie. Oh, chef's kiss.
All right, and we love Joel on the show as well. We've had him on a few times about now, and just one of the good guys in pro wrestling now.
Oh, 100%. Joel has a heart of gold, and you know, if he's very not protective, but very has a lot of love for the people he cares about, and it's amazing to have that connection with people. You know, like having family with inside wrestling that will like fight tooth and nail for you. It's so heartwarming.
Oh, for sure.
He sets an example for all the Yanks.
Yeah, it just definitely feels like that match down under is definitely family oriented. You know, being a death, even though it's a deathmatch company.
Oh, exactly. It's very, very much like a family kind of thing. Like you've got all the promoters who are practically like family to me at this point. I've been there that long. It's kind of like a second home, like a home away from home. Like aside from FWA, it's like good to have that kind of connection with people, and it's just great.
Awesome.
You gotta,
Sure.
you gotta love having a family that, you know, is there for you, but then, you know, you can also, you know, beat the crap out of them with barbed wire and, you know, flaming tables, if necessary. Now, oh, I'm sorry, did I,
Oh, no. I was just going to add on to that, like, exactly. But, like, in all families, we all fight, and I'm not scared to beat the shit out of people. Like,
I mean, yeah, especially my 5-year-old little brother. I will not hesitate to, oh, wait, never mind. I said too much. Moving on! It's 4:30 in the morning here. I'm a little loopy, if you haven't guessed already.
I could imagine.
But a good friend of the show is Savannah Summers, and for lack of a better term, and maybe we'll explain this, maybe not, she is a staple in not just Australian women's wrestling, but Australian wrestling. Tell us about your experience with Savannah.
I love Savannah. I loved working her. She is by far one of my by far one of my favorite people. You know, like,
Oh yeah.
I never had any interaction with her up until like my match at FWA, and she is the sweetest human. And don't let her heel persona fool you. She is just so sweet and so lovely. And wrestling her is so much fun, because it's not like a lot of people who are very like, you've got to do this. She's like, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can add it all together and make something absolutely fantastic. And like, you know, wrestling someone who is a part of Australian history is phenomenal, like in itself. So I've felt very privileged to be able to wrestle Savannah.
All right. Hey, James.
Just kind of following up on that, you know, there is when Savannah came on, and even Izzy, you know, there's a lack of female wrestlers, and at least Adelaide, there's only a handful of them that kind of interchange at times. Have you ever had that issue as of now, being so young in your career?
So at my first ever like company, there was only like me and another girl. So when we were on shows, it was we were tagging or we were like wrestling each other, you know, because oh my god, these are two female talents, which is great and all, but I feel like it's very hard because it's like you'll go from hating each other one show and then you'll be tagging the next, and then so on and so forth, you know. But New South Wales and Victorian wrestling, where I'm mainly based, it's there's more variety, there's more companies and more training schools, so there is a lot more people to wrestle, not just like female or female presenting talent, you know. Like it's just great, and it's so great to see how how many people are getting into wrestling, especially with female and female presenting people. You know, it's really good to see, especially when I first started, there was only a handful of us that I knew of. But then changing schools and wrestling more companies, you get to meet more people, and then you're like, oh, I'm not one of the only people in this company, like not in this company, but in this business. And then from there, you know, you realize that you are such a small fish in a big ocean of wrestling. And it's really like, it's kind of scary at first, but then it's like, oh my God, I can actually talk to these people about experiences and understand what's going on instead of just feeling like you're all alone in a way. Because I feel like a lot of male or male presenting talent don't necessarily understand the the downfalls to wrestling, especially like when you are a female talent.
No, absolutely. And it was interesting you said, you know, kind of feeling alone as a female talent when there is, you know, other female talent on the other side that's kind of feeling the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of sad because, you know, like, I feel like we kind of box ourselves in, you know, like, and I know a lot of companies are like, you're not allowed to wrestle there and you're not allowed to wrestle there. Like, it's very heavy on politics. And then when you finally get to meet these people, it's like you make friendships, like lifelong friendships, and it's just great.
Now you had mentioned this. Can you tell us about winning your first title, the FWA Women's title, and what does that kind of mean to you?
Oh, there's a lot I can say. Like, I'm still in shock, and I won that back in May. May sounds right. Months and dates, I'm like, I have no idea. I'm going with the flow at the moment. But you know, it's still such a surreal moment for me. Because like I'm very down on myself when it comes to my wrestling. Like, I'm very critical of everything I do, and it's just like, if I'm so critical of myself, I wonder how everyone else perceives me like not outside of wrestling, but outside my own little bubble. And it's like, oh, I'm actually a champion. You know, it feels like all of my hard work and like efforts have finally been noticed in a way. And like being like a face of a company in a way, like in that sense, it's just so heartwarming, and it really does help with the imposter syndrome, and it makes me feel like I actually belong in this crazy world we call wrestling.
Scooter, you have a question.
Yes. Now, taking a look at your recent ring gear, the first thing that springs to my mind clearly is pirates, but there's also more of your Aboriginal roots in that gear, if I may say so. Is that fair to assume? And can you tell us how your Aboriginal roots, and I'm gonna let you pronounce the tribes out of fear of pronouncing them wrong. But can you tell us how your Aboriginal roots are reflected in your gear and in your current performance?
Of course I can. So I am a proud Gamilaroi and Worimi person. So pretty much North New South Wales, so northeast New South Wales, and then like my Worimi side is more so towards trying to think. It's still north, but more south from where my Gamilaroi nation's from, if that makes sense. I'm so bad at explaining things. So it's my heritage isn't necessarily conveyed in my gear. My first ever set of gear was very, I'm an Indigenous person, this, and this. Like, I am an Indigenous person that wrestles. That was very much what I was. Ended up moving companies, training elsewhere, meeting new people, and I ended up getting the opportunity to be in a stable called Piracy, where we're a bunch of pirates, as the namesake kind of shows.
Wow.
And so it was, kind of, I needed to get new gear to kind of fit in with this stable. So it's like, I'm a pirate, which kind of flows in with my Worimi Nation heritage, because they are based on the coastline. They're fishermen and all that type of stuff. So it was very inspired by that. But in my in-ring persona, I am a very, I'm very strong. I'm very proud. I don't care who you are, what you are, I will hit you. It's more of the, I am who I am. If you don't like it, then fight me. But it's great. Like, I feel like the way I am in ring is more of a representation of myself and my community, because, we've been suppressed for so long, and finally we're getting to speak out. We're talking. We are finally showing highlighting the negatives of what, colonialism has done for Australia. And yeah, I feel like that's just like that pure not rage, but fire and fight really embodies the Indigenous peoples, because we're willing to fight for our peoples. And yeah.
All right.
I do have a follow-up, about your Aboriginal roots. Could you tell us, just doing some research, and I'm absolutely no expert on this. I saw a rite of passage or, traditions when it comes to your Aboriginal roots. Could you maybe elaborate on that?
Of course. So I'm not exactly the biggest expert on this, because, as, invasion and all that type of stuff, and Australia has become so multicultural. English. It's become so diverse that, cultures are slowly fading out, and it's so sad. But I know from, when I was a little kid, I was living in, Gamilaroi, on Gamilaroi land with Gamilaroi elders and all of that. And it's like, when you get to a certain age, you get to do men's business and women's business, and that's kind of the rite of passage. In that sense, I've spoken to my dad about it before, and other family members, but that's kind of what it is. When you get to a certain age, you go off and you do this rite of passage kind of thing, that turns you into an adult, that turns you into a man, or that turns you into a woman, and you learn the ways of the land, the ways of the people, and what is expected of you as this person in the community.
And you can, the best way to go to learn about a community or a culture or people is the food.
100%.
What could you tell us about, your tribe's food?
Okay, so we're very, it's very kangaroo based. Especially in Gamilaroi, it's kangaroo, it's all of that type of stuff. But the fun thing about Aboriginality and about Aboriginal peoples is that you'll have a totem. And I'm pretty sure that's what your family totem is, from my understanding. So I can't eat echidna because my totem is an echidna.
No.
So whatever your totem is, that's your that's your family. Yeah, spirit animal. That's your family's animal. You don't eat that. You don't hunt it, and all that type of stuff. But in Worimi land, it's more seafood based, so it's more fish, it's turtles, it's all that type of stuff. So it ranges.
So in New York, I basically shouldn't eat rat. Basically. I honestly get with Heritage. I could spend all day talking about traditions and food and everything, but
Don't forget
James,
the question.
that's what I was gonna do. And you know what? let's slow it down. We love asking food questions, as James has already given an example. Now, here in America, it's Burger King. In Australia, it's Hungry Jack's. And now, being a wrestler, I'm not sure how often you get the Hungry Jack's. And I'm basically, have you eaten at Hungry Jack's at all?
So I love Hungry Jack's. I prefer it over. I prefer it over McDonald's any day. Like, my poor partner. I'll just be like, I'll be finishing uni because it's like where my uni is. There's like a Hungry Jack's like right down the road. So if I am feeling peckish and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get myself like a burger from Hungry Jack's, and I don't know. I feel like it's just so good. So good.
All right.
You do have another question related to Australians from Australia, correct, student?
Yes. And this is a little bit of a controversial question, only because I've recently learned about this particular comedian. Some don't call him a comedian, some find him very controversial. If I were to say the name Isaac Butterfield, would that ring any bells?
Yes, I know Isaac Butterfield. I've actually met him in person, so...
Really?
Yeah.
Please tell us.
I didn't have much to do with him because he was kind of very in and out when it came to the wrestling spot. But I can't remember what I was doing, but I did a bridge onto my face. So, and then he's like, "What the fuck? That's so gross." And it was so funny because at this point in time, I was still a trainee and I was a merch girl, and we were showing him bits and pieces that we do, and I showed him my bridging ability, and he's like, "Yuck."
Yes. All right.
From what I've seen, he's actually kind of a sweet person, as a person, and the facade he puts on as a comedian is completely different to who he is as a person.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good, because in the Australian guests that I've asked that, it's been kind of 50-50. I'm glad there's somebody who finds him funny. I do find him funny. Sometimes he might go a little bit overboard, but then again, what comedian doesn't these days? But let me just bring it back again to food, because I overlooked this, and James once again reminded me. I can't believe I forgot to write this down, but nevertheless, I am going to ask it. What, if you eat it at all, is your preferred Vegemite ratio of Vegemite to butter?
Okay, so on toast, you lather it up with a whole heap of butter, and you put a tiny little spread on, enough to give it that little bit of zest. But my little brother, he literally eats Vegemite, slabs it on, no butter, no nothing, just slabs it on. And I'm like, how can you eat Vegemite like that?
Has he had his sodium checked?
He's fine. He's healthy. It's so weird. I'm like, How do
Oh,
you do
man.
this?
I've tried it once, and I took like a quarter teaspoonful, and the analogy I have for it is when SpongeBob first meets Sandy, and he decides he doesn't need water, he starts drying out. That's how salty it was to me. Now, I wouldn't mind going back and, eating it properly over, because it's an acquired taste, clearly, for, anyone really outside of Australia, and we'll include New Zealand in this, just because. But there was I guess I'll call it a kerfuffle. It wasn't really a controversy about Tom Hanks when back when the pandemic started, and he took a picture from his hospital room, and he included a picture of a piece of toast that was covered, from crust to crust in Vegemite. So would that sort of set off the, oh my god, how can you eat that much alarm?
Literally, I feel like every Australian would be like, what are you doing? This is why people are like, eating Vegemite the wrong way. Like, I cringe at like the people, like you'll see it on TikTok every so often, that'll be like Australian people like sending off their American friends like Vegemite and stuff like that, and they'll like get a spoonful of it and eat it, and it makes me cringe because I'm like, no, that's not how you eat it.
And a quick follow-up, because the UK has its equivalent, Marmite. Have you ever had Marmite?
No, I haven't. I'm very much a Vegemite person. If anyone deviates from that, no, that's not happening for me.
Vegemite only. We are a Vegemite only podcast, James.
Yes, we are. And look, you remembered the Burger King question. Hooray! Finally.
I'll Burger King your face.
Now you had mentioned having a little brother. If he was to get into pro wrestling, would you be the support of a big sister, or would you be the Roman Reigns fallen line sister?
So all of my siblings want to be professional wrestlers. Like, it's kind of weird, but it kind of runs in the family. My great-granddad was a ref back in the day, so that was kind of cool. But if they were to start wrestling, I'd 100% be supportive of them, and I'd help them, come into wrestling and meet new people and stuff, but I would still beat the shit out of them at training and in the ring.
So, fall in line, sister.
Yes.
So the generations, your great-grandfather was a ref, was your grandfather involved in wrestling as well?
No. So my grandfather used to go to the wrestling shows, but he never was a professional wrestler, like a wrestler or a ref or anything like that. But he did go to watch the shows and stuff. So it's kind of cool.
So, and your father or mother, in this case, were they involved?
They were very much big fans of wrestling. They're the reason I got into wrestling. There was a tryout, and my dad was going to do wrestling with me, but he's like, I'm too old for this.
Aww.
Tell me about it. How cool would it be if me and my dad were tagging? Like,
that would be so. That would be so heartwarming to see.
100%. But unfortunately, he was like, I'm too old.
Yeah, and then and hey, at least he got away with not getting beat up by Rhea Ripley. Like that.
Exactly.
Oh God.
I kind of want to workshop something here. Your tribes and your culture. Is there like a leader among all of them?
Okay, so we have our community elders. So these are like the older generation of the of the community, and they practically run the community, make sure everything's like going the way it should, and everyone's doing what they should be. And yeah.
Okay, so we can have tribal chief Rochelle Rogue.
I feel like I'm a bit young for that one, but okay.
Now, going back to your ring deal, obviously you had Aboriginal expired. You're currently in your pirate phase. You also had the one pant leg as well.
Yes.
So could you kind of tell us the evolution of, going from one leg to no legs to two legs?
So, sorry. I was a big Zack Ryder fan. Absolutely loved Zack Ryder. Ride or die Zack Ryder fan. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the one leg. Like, I was so set on it, and then ended up doing it. I was gonna do it with my newest set of gear, but for what I wanted to do, it just wasn't gonna fit. But in future gear designs, I'll probably end up doing the one leg thing again, because it's something that does stand out, and it's pretty cool.
Right, and I hated when he got rid of the one pant leg and just went to regular shorts, because it was interesting. It was not something you saw often.
Yeah, exactly. It's just something that makes you stand out, just that little bit, like, I feel like it's very common in wrestling that people will have pants, or they'll wear a one piece, or they'll wear shorts, and then you just kind of switch it up and you're like, haha, here's this. And it just catches them off guard. You're like, haha, I win.
Should I tell her, James?
Sure. I don't know what exactly.
Hey, I remember a time when Matt, he didn't wear the pants. He wore simple tights, because I trained in the same place as him. Yep. Yeah, and no, believe me, we're keeping count. That's like the 200th time I've mentioned that.
Yes.
But I bring that up when somebody brings that up by sheer random chance now. No longer, do I plan to mention that, but even the guys who wore those, the one pant at one point, we're just wearing your typical, wrestling gear.
Now,
Yeah.
you had mentioned wrestling in all 7 states, territories, and New Zealand as well. It was a goal. How close are you at this point?
Don't mind me while I count on my fingers how many I've actually done I need to do. So I've done Victoria, New South Wales, I've done Perth. I've got Tasmania coming up in a couple of months. If everything goes to plan, that is. But so that would leave the Northern Territory, New Zealand, Canberra, South Australia, and Queensland. So I have 4 out of 9. 4 out of 9.
Okay, well that's not too bad. That's half, almost half.
Yeah, exactly. It's close enough.
It's close enough for right now. It seems like you're going to check off a couple before the year's out as well.
Yes, so I'm hoping to knock out a few more by the end of the year. So I've got Tasmania lined up, but I'd love to go to South Australia. I'd love to go to Queensland, to go to New Zealand, and even Northern Territory, but I don't know if there's any wrestling there at the moment. But to scratch them all off my list would be so good before I think like go on to like something bigger outside of that, if that makes sense. So like check off Australia and then think of international, like Australasia, so like well, more so just Australia and New Zealand, and then from there like think of like further international travel.
That's interesting. You know, you want to do all of Australia before you think national.
Mhm.
Now, that being said, is somewhere in the world that you're interested in going next?
Ooh, okay, so I want to go to America. I want to wrestle over in America. That's the big goal, to be like, yeah, I've wrestled in the United States of America. How cool. But I'd love to go to like Mexico. I'd love to go to the UK. I'd love to go to Japan. Like literally everywhere that I can. That's the goal, is just to be able to wrestle everywhere.
All right. Scribble, you have a question.
Can you tell us about your relationship with Kid Valiant?
Yes. So Kid Valiant is my partner. He's my boyfriend. Love him to bits. He drives me insane, but like he is one of the most hardworking and dedicated and talented people I've ever met, and he amazes me every time he wrestles. Like, oh, just let me whip this out, and then he does like some crazy like move off the top rope, and I'm like, what do you mean? No, but he's a beautiful human inside and out, and he will go far in wrestling if he keeps putting his mind to it. And I am so proud, and I am so lucky to be by his side when he goes through this journey in wrestling.
I think James has a follow-up, I think.
Yes. What's a pet peeve about him that you just don't understand?
Him jumping off things. Like, he'll come home not come home, he'll come home and then he'll call me and he's like, hey babe, guess what I jumped off? I don't know, KV, tell me. And it stresses me out because it's like I understand he's safe, he's doing what he loves, like, but it's still like it's the girlfriend being like, please don't hurt yourself. Like, please don't.
Okay, this brings up a whole new topic.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
What has been the oddest thing he's jumped off of, and what has been the tallest thing he's jumped off of?
Oh, okay. He has jumped off like at Adrenaline. It's like I think it's an addition onto like where the backstage area is, and he jumped off that, and I'm like, okay, that's probably the weirdest, as it's like the top of the training room, like the changing room from memory. I could be wrong. And probably the tallest. I actually don't know. I think at a one of the DMD shows I wasn't on, he jumped off off like a ledge kind of thing into a Canadian, and I'm like, how?
It was into a Canadian person?
No, into a Canadian destroyer. Like,
oh god.
It could have been on a Canadian person for all we know. There's a lot of international people coming down.
But I think that was the tallest he's jumped off. I don't know. That's a question for him, because I just see him jump off shit and I'm like, why do you do this? Why do you give me a heart attack every time you wrestle, huh?
Oh, I have a follow-up to that. Has he ever talked about jumping off the Great Barrier Reef?
I think he'd jump into it, knowing him.
I don't know if people jump into it or onto it or off of it or what. I just know it's the tallest, one of the tallest structures in Australia.
So the Great Barrier Reef is because there's nothing actually to jump off because it's like the ocean. It's kind of cool. But he'd like jump, knowing him, he'd jump into it, be like, yeah, let's go. Love him to bits, though. I wouldn't have him any other way.
Okay. Scooter, you have a question.
Actually, I think this remaining question is actually more up your alley, James.
No, I'm talking about a show about doctors on Channel 2.
I am drawing a blank.
Rochelle, can you tell us about your love of Grey's Anatomy?
That's what you... my research skills have failed me today.
I am a big fan of Grey's Anatomy, being a medical student, so I love Grey's Anatomy. I love anything to do with like medicine. I'm like, yeah, let's watch this, even though it's not realistic. Yeah.
What area of medicine are you studying?
Okay, so at the moment, I'm just doing like med school, just the basic like overall. And then if I pass all of my like tests and stuff and like continue further, I can specialize in anything I want to do. But what I think I want to specialize in is either I want to be a oncologist, so like a doctor for cancer, or go into pediatrics, which is working with kids. So yeah.
I don't think you could ever be a heel.
I mean,
Now,
It
is
is.
Grey's Anatomy just your favorite one, or are you watching like House, Scrubs?
So I grew up watching House. My mum loves watching House.
Yes.
So I've grown up watching that. I've watched Chicago Med. I haven't watched Scrubs, but I've watched Grey's Anatomy and like a wide variety of like those types of things.
Did you see the musical episode?
Maybe.
Of Scrubs. Yeah.
No, of Grey's Anatomy, where they sang.
I don't remember that, but I was probably like in the middle of notes having it as background noise, so I probably was not paying attention.
Alright, fair enough. I know it's a heated discussion of whether they should or shouldn't have done it. So that's just why I brought it up.
That's fair. I'm very much of the opinion if like it's probably not needed for like the style of show that they're putting off, but to each their own, I guess. Like if you don't like it, you can deal with it. It's one episode, you know?
Right. Right, Scooter, you have a question.
Bringing it back to wrestling, is deathmatch wrestling in your future?
I love deathmatch wrestling. I would love to do a deathmatch. My last DMDU show, I got stapled head in the head, the shoulder, shoulder, and back, back, yes, by Crackerjack, who is a deathmatch legend in Australian wrestling. So I would love to do deathmatch wrestling. It's something I'm very interested in, even if it's like I think for me, it would make more sense if it was like big storyline and the blow-off match is a big, death match. You're throwing everything, like you've got the tubes, you've got the gussets, you've got everything in there, and you're like just hitting each other with shit.
I love that, it's just not for the hell of it. It's, the storyline going into it.
Yeah. I'm a big storytelling and wrestling. I'm very, very passionate about. You know what I mean? Like, you need to make things make sense. You need to get people behind what you're doing. So that's just my philosophy in wrestling. It's like, you've got to get everyone to care about what you're doing before you actually do it, you know?
Right.
Like, I adore the people that can do all the flips and do all that type of stuff, but the thing that I feel like makes wrestling is the story that you can tell with, you know, doing all of this cool shit, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is, now, first, yeah, being stapled in the head, not the worst place we've been told somebody's been stapled in a death match.
Yes.
But is there anything in a death match that you absolutely refuse to do?
I wouldn't take pigeon spikes, so like wouldn't take those, or like needles. Learning about bloodborne diseases and like all the infections that can happen with that, I can't with needles. Every time I see someone do a needle spot, I'm like, please don't do that. That's terrifying.
Absolutely fair. Ooh.
Well, I think I know why Joel, you know, hired you. I mean, you're a medical professional at this point.
Did you just see me backstage, like, stitching everyone up? Nah, not yet. Maybe in a few years. But I've always, like, offered to help out with, like, paramedics on site and stuff if they need an extra hand, because I'm first aid trained and I have my medical, like, no, not medical. I got my first aid and my mental health first aid as well.
Hmm.
I mean, that being said, what is something you do want to do in a death match?
I'd love to take like light tubes and skewers. I've been trained under Charlie Evans, and every time I see that skewer spot, it makes me want to do it even more, because like it just looks sick, and it's like, yes, please let me take that. I'd love to take cactuses, you know, all that type of stuff. Yeah, I like pretty much everything's on the table. I want to take everything that there is. I want to take, except for like a few things, because like, no, like needles. I can't do needles.
But there's a valid reason why you're not doing needles.
Yes, it just scares me, and then it's like there are like when they do it in like the cheeks, I'm like, there are veins in there, and
which cheeks?
I've seen people like it in like in their like mouth. It's like
okay.
And I'm like, no, please don't do that.
Quick little workshop idea. Stitch is the evil nurse, but she's not really evil. She goes around in death matches looking to stitch people up who are bleeding.
I love that, and I would pop so hard if even if someone pretended to, like, they just go around and then they take them backstage. Like, I would pop big time for that. Be so good.
Well, that's for free.
Alright, I think it's time for that segment again. Rochelle Rogue's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads and weird, crazy, and bizarre things like that happen. Tell us a road story that fits that description.
Oh, okay. So I have multiple. I just have really weird experiences. Okay.
Awesome.
Like, I could go on and tell you all about my paranormal experiences, and trust me, it's terrifying, because it's like, even like my partner, like Kid Valiant, can attest to this. So I'll tell you this one, because this one was terrifying, because I was awake. Like, I haven't been sleeping really well, and it's been really weird. But so we're going to bed, and we're like, he's asleep, and I'm just like up on my phone, and I like turn my phone off and like getting ready to go to bed. I wake up because I hear like so I have French doors. They're vibrating. Like, it feels like that's vibrating. The window next to my bed is vibrating, and I'm like, okay, that can be explained with the wind, whatever. So Kid Valiant doesn't talk in his sleep at all. He tells me clear as day, like, says my shoot name, help me. And I'm like, awake. I'm like, what do you mean help me? Like, help you? And then he's just like, help me. And then he fell asleep. Like, not fell asleep, but he went quiet. And I'm like, what do you mean? What the heck? And then I've had like other like creepy experiences, like I'd be on the phone, like on Bluetooth on the phone, driving to like an event or driving home from an event or driving to work. I'm driving because I live in rural New South Wales in the middle of like buttfuck nowhere. So I'll be on the phone and like, because you go through like dead areas, there's no service whatsoever. Like, I've had people tell me that it'll go to like a staticky kind of noise and they'll hear noise, like hear people talking on their end, and then I will end up hearing the same thing on my end, but neither of us are talking to each other. Like, you can hear someone having a full-blown, like two people having a full-blown conversation with each other. And then I've had like other creepy stuff happen too, like, it's... I have a wide variety of scary stories that are like just weird things that have happened to me.
I think these were maybe some of the most bizarre stories we've ever had. No, Scooter?
Oh, absolutely. And I, if we had more time, I'd be like, let's hear them all.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy. It's like, I feel like I'm very in touch with like a lot of spiritual things, and it just happens to follow me everywhere, you know? Like, I've lived in a variety of houses over my 21 years. Like, I've had really creepy experiences, and it's just very spooky, and it's like, this is not normal. This shouldn't be happening.
Alright. Well, you could tell us if it should be happening or not, because this is a very controversial subject.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza, what's your stance?
I love pineapple on pizza, okay? I am very much a pineapple on pizza person.
All right.
You have like the sweet and salty contrast, and it's just like, yum yum.
It sounds like the way that your stance on it was very pro, like you were defending it.
I would. Like, it is such a good addition to pizza, but I'm also like, on the other end, I don't like olives and I don't like onion too much. So like, I wouldn't have those on a pizza, where people are like, what do you mean you're not going to have those on a pizza? And it's just great. It's like, I don't know, man. You can have your like onions and you can have your olives and I'll have my pineapple, okay? Don't hate me because you ate me.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, okay. So I am a Bulbasaur stan. Bulbasaur is my man, okay? Everyone wants to talk shit on Bulbasaur, they can fight me because Bulbasaur is fucking cool. Like, I even went so far as my first tattoo is of Bulbasaur.
Awesome. That is dedication right there.
So, what would you say right now to the people that say, oh, grass starters are the worst?
You want to fight? Let's throw hands. I'll put you on your ass and I'll show you who is the best fucking Pokemon starter.
Now, ended
It's
with,
great.
That's right, Jock Samson. Weirdest question you'll ever be asked on a wrestling podcast. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, Scooter.
Not the country.
An actual rock.
Why not? People have wrestled worse. I've seen people wrestle the Invisible Man and, like, people wrestle blow-up dolls. I will 100% wrestle a rock.
Alright, just for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes in what was dubbed a Tungsten Man match. an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
That's sick.
Yes,
Pop.
it was definitely something to see.
That's so cool. I love that. That was something I would do, but I also am just like, sometimes I like to take the piss out of things, and I'm like, yeah, let's have a laugh. Why not? It's gonna be fun.
Well, maybe you would have more fun than he did. He did not win the match.
Fair.
And, and of course, on the show, we love Tracy Smothers. Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
Wait, sorry?
Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
Can't say I do.
Scooter, do you actually remember it, or do I need to say it?
No, I remember it. T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a thug can't spell.
Right. And Scooter, you have a colossal question.
Yes, this is Kaliko's colossal question in honor of our constantly no-showing third co-host, Kaliko Yachts. No shade there. They are making a movie about the Rochelle Rogue.
Wrestling career.
No, yeah, I wanted to change the phrasing of the sentence. They are making a movie about Rochelle Rogue's wrestling career, and every movie has a great soundtrack to go along with it. What are 3 to 5 songs that we would find on the soundtrack to the Rochelle Rogue wrestling career movie?
Ooh, okay, so here we go. I'm probably gonna have 5 because, like,
That's absolutely fine.
So I would have Fight Like a Girl by Diamante, Serves You Right by Diamante. I'd have, trying to think, King Brown by Barker, who is an Indigenous Australian, rap artist. I'd have Strongest Mob by Denny, who was another Australian rap artist. And I feel like to top it off, I would have, this one's hard. The last one's always the hardest because, like, I'll answer this and I'll be like, yeah, this is a song, and then I'll go back and I'll look through, like, my Spotify playlist. And I'm like, oh, this one would have been such better song. But probably My Way. I can't remember who actually sings it. She's a rap artist. Hold this thought. I will find who it's by because I'm terrible. Hold on. What is it? By Queen K.
Alright. That's
Okay.
5 solid picks. Do you lock it in?
Yes, I lock it in.
Alright. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, first things first, I would be finishing my medical degree. I'd be out of uni at that point, so 5 years down the track. Hopefully have done a few runs in America, wrestling over there. Hopefully having a chance to wrestle, like, more internationally. Yeah, like, that's my goal. To just try and be the best I can be and try and be one of the best Australia has to offer.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that shows off what Rochelle Rogue is all about?
Oh, good question. Probably my match with Savannah Summers at FWA, or my match against Richie Taylor in the Juices Worth the Squeeze DMG Heavyweight Tournament.
And where can we find those?
So FWA is on Fight TV. Deathmatch Down Under is on IWTV. So you'll find events that I'm on Fight and on IWTV.
All right. And in the immortal words of Joel Bateman, if you don't have Fight TV, you're a fucking idiot.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, he said that on air when we interviewed him.
Oh wait. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typical Joel for you, though.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Ooh. Okay.
Our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Okay. I don't know if I'm ready, but let's go.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Oh, greatest wrestler of all time. Ooh, okay. Chris Jericho, hands down.
Worst wrestler.
Kelly.
Ooh, interesting.
Mm.
There's a lot, but Kelly is the first one I thought of.
No, we don't mind it. Your main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Rhea Ripley.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
China. It would be China's theme.
The Don't Treat Me Like a Woman?
Yeah.
Sweet. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Dead.
We also would have accepted is quite good on toast with a little bit of Vegemite.
Pop.
Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
Both.
What?
As in squash,
Is it a...
It's a... The panic. Is it which... Sorry. I cut you off then.
No, I was gonna say, is boat your final answer?
Yes.
I think we have to accept it, Scooter. What do you think?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Alright. I think that's the first time anybody said boat. So... Next question. New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
You just... Enough to cover the cheek, okay? The last thing you want to do is moon someone when you're bending over to pick someone up for something.
Which cheek?
Hmm?
No. I'm throwing back to the to the needles.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No, I haven't.
And that is the correct answer. And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Rochelle, for coming on and doing this with us.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, can you tell us once again where we can find you on social media, merchandise, etc., etc.?
Okay, awesome. So you can find me on Instagram at Rochelle Rogue. Twitter is Rochelle Rogue PW. Facebook is Rochelle Rogue Professional Wrestler. I have a wrestler merch store up. You can contact me for 8x10s or stickers. And if you want to watch my matches, go to IWTV or Fight TV.
Alright. And of course, all of those links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube at Castbox. Don't need to type it into your Google machine. Simply go into the description, click the link, you will be on a new page. You have no excuse. You've been listening to her for just a little over an hour. Buy a damn short. Of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this is sponsored by Rogue Energy and Clear One Coffee. Join us tomorrow as we interview Spencer Love of Love for Wrestling. You can follow the show at Wrestling with Eva on Twitter and Instagram. For all the latest news on interviews, who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to the interviews, etc., etc. You can follow us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. You can follow Kaliko at I am Kaliko, and both can be find Scooter.
You can find me outside your living room window. I like the color of your new rug. And you can find me on Twitter at ScooterDust. Find James, me, and Ryan Dust hosting the remix on YouTube, a premium audio companion experience for all your alternate commentary premium live event needs. It's 5 a.m. in the morning, so I'm just gonna say, also find me on Twitch, along with Rico Constantino Jr. and the rest of the Smoking Dragons, Twitch.tv /Smoking Dragons, and yeah, that's about it.
Now, Rochelle, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment.
Wait, sorry?
When I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment.
Okay.
For our very special guest, Rochelle Rogue, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.